Alright everybody, in this video I'm going to be showing session 1 of bark training with Cathane, also known as Cat. So she is the dog named Cat. It's wet and nasty outside, so I have all the dogs inside, which is a problem number 1. The dogs are a distraction. I'll say yes and wave food around, and Ada breaks her place command. She thinks I'm trying to mark and reward her, and Sophie's getting excited because the puppy's barking and running around, and so that's a little distracting. That I shouldn't have done that, but I don't want to leave the dogs outside or leave them crated because then they'll bark and it's distracting to the puppy. So I'm making do with it. Another thing is, when I normally back tie a dog and do bark work, I don't like having collars on. I like to do harnesses, because obviously if they're pulling on the collar, it's constricting the throat, it's making it hard to bark. So I normally don't do that, but in this case I couldn't find my harness, so I made do. I wanted to do something. I need to get her to bark on command because she's going crazy with barking. She's barking non-stop, except for whenever I want her to bark, apparently. But this is a good first session. Back tied her. And what I've noticed, though, in this session, which is a kind of a good positive with using the collar, to bark, she'll actually sit back, sit down, and then give a nice throatal bark. So the collar's actually kind of setting up that barking hold for later, but it is what it is. Now, I'm using Abwa because I may want to use her for French ring later. And by doing so, I'd like to have some French commands, but you can use, revere, give blout, speak, whatever command you want. But here I'm just trying to put it on command. Now, some people will say, tease the dog and then just shape it. Whenever it barks, toss it a piece of food. Whenever it barks, toss a piece of food. And then whenever the dog is easily barking, then you put it on command. Well, for the bark command, I'm really not a name it till you like it type of person. I want to put it on cue as fast as possible. I want the dog to clearly understand what it is. So here I'm just chanting the the Abwa command to get her to bark, and when she barks, I'll reward it. So here you'll see her squeak and kind of whine and do some vocalization, but I only want her to get rewarded for nice, loud, solid barks. And you see here, she will launch her head straight back at a nice, solid bark. And then she gets excited and kind of pulls and lunges. So she has good energy. She has good focus, and she's not really apprehensive to that back pressure, which is going to be amazing for bite work later. You see her soft ear, she's teething, so hopefully after she gets done teething, they'll pop back up. But she's a solid little girl. You see her frame there. She's just now short of 4 months. Here in about another week, she'll be 4 months old, so nice solid little frame for a 4-month-old puppy. And there's some nice solid barks. I mark and I reward, and I move back. I also have a bag of dog food behind the camera that if she's not barking as often as I want, I'll shake the bag a little bit. Another mistake that I kind of made is I made the session a little too long. Usually I want the sessions with puppies to be shorter, to stop on a good note. But honestly, I want to get this bark on command as soon as possible so I can teach the quiet command. Another secret that I like to use the bark command for is it takes a lot of energy for a dog to bark. A lot of people don't realize this. Whenever they're stressed out, they like to bark. Whenever they're really high in energy, they like to bark. So what I'll do is if I have a dog that has a lot of energy and they're not focusing, if they know the the bark command, I'll get them to bark repetitively over and over and over again to relieve some of that stress, that anxiety, or that energy, so that way they'll calm down a little bit and focus on training if we're doing obedience or tracking or something like that. So I'll use that bark command to de-stress the situations and things that can really affect the dog's temperament in that given time and moment. And here, not Sophie, but Ada is creating a distraction, but we're dealing with it. So the bark command is more than just, you know, teaching the dog to bark at somebody. It's more than just to teach the quiet command. It's also a really fun thing to use later. Sometimes whenever I want the dog to do something, I'll tell it to speak. I have a video of my old mutt Coda. Before we would feed him every night, I'd put him in a sit. I would put his food down. I'd tell him to speak. He'd speak. I'd tell him to quiet. He would quiet. I'd tell him to down. He'd down. I'd tell him to sit. He'd sit. I'd tell him to speak. And then I'd release him to go eat. Because it's fun. It's vocalization. It's giving him a voice. He's saying, I really want that food. I'll do whatever you want. So put the bark command on cue and fit it in your everyday thing. A lot of people are afraid to teach the bark command because they're afraid it'll just teach the dog to bark all the time. But if you put it on command, then the dog will learn that it'll get rewarded if it barks on command, but it'll get corrected if it barks, you know, when it's not supposed to. And that's what's good about teaching the bark command and the quiet command, because they work together. So if the dog is barking and it doesn't understand why you are correcting it doesn't, you know, fully appreciate what you're trying to do with the dog. If you put a shock collar on the dog that, you know, shocks the dog every time it barks, you're taking its voice away. So what I like to do is, you know, put it on command so I can tell it to quiet, and then if it doesn't quiet, then I correct it for disobeying the quiet command, and it understands there's a time to bark and there's a time not to bark. And that's why I love this command in the beginning stages, because in puppyhood they're going to be spending a lot of time in crates. So you want them to understand whenever they're barking to quiet, so they'll quiet down. Or if you put them in there, you can tell them to bark, 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 bark before you put them in the crate. I'm sorry, but before you put them in the crate, tell them to bark, 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 bark. Tell them to quiet, put them in the crate, and they understand that at that point they're supposed to be quiet. Because a dog needs to understand why they're getting corrected. If you reward the dog outside of the crate, then it's going to reinforce the barking command. So if you use the crate to teach the bark, then you're actually teaching the dog to bark in the crate. But hopefully this quick little video shows you a little bit of our session 1 and how I'll start to train some dogs on how to bark on command.